Okay.
All right.
I'm going to restart the Ohio story.
Yes.
The Ohio story is that in Ohio, there is ed choice, and it's vouchers. And you get a voucher if you go to an underperforming school. And you can take your voucher, just like we have with our charter school students who the money follows the child. The money follows that child to a private school. And frequently in Ohio, and as pretty much anywhere else, is that the biggest system of private schools are the parochial schools. But it could be any private school. Anyhow, in Ohio, they added some criteria to prove that a school is underperforming. So in adding that criteria, they've added a great number of schools to their underperforming list. So now many, if not most, school districts have have schools that are underperforming. And in that category are some of their highest performing schools, because they have schools in districts that are affluent, very high performing. Over 90% of their children are eligible and on track on all levels. But they haven't shown growth because they're so high. And by not showing the level of growth that's in the statute, they're underperforming.
Considered underperforming. That's insane.
So the school board, the Shaker Heights School Board, I almost feel like sending them a letter saying, good job, Shaker Heights, for doing this. The Shaker Heights School Board is organized itself, and anybody who wants to send a letter to the state of Ohio saying this is crazy and you need to rethink these criteria. And you also really need to rethink, this is subverting public education. Yeah. Now you're just giving money to private schools. Yeah. It doesn't matter what, anybody. There's no requirement that when you talk about religion and these are the schools that are getting the money.
That, for sure.
But they're not. This is it. They're changing it in the other direction.
Oh my.
So anyway, that's the other thing that's happening nationally.
Yeah. Anything else?
That's it for the nation. So now we go back to here.
One of the things I wanted to talk about, you mentioned Mr. Gordon.
Yes.
He's the lobbyist who works in Oakland, right? For Oakland,
yes,
as a lobbyist. And I was very tickled with what Trustee Cuevas said. How about you donate your services to us?
He didn't follow up on that.
No, he didn't.
He did not.
But when I went to see Nancy Skinner with Leslie Reckler with PTA, they were lobbying about the times, changing the times, and I think there was 2 or 3 issues that were coming up. So Nancy didn't want the adults; she wanted the kids around the table, and she says, "Tell me how this affects you personally."
Right.
That's what they want to know. That's what they need to know. So take your children up there and have them tell story, or
go
tell
to
the story.
Oakland. I mean, your representatives are here.
Oh, they're here, and they need to know, how does the lack of funding affect you personally?
Right.
Programs or your facilities or your whatever it is, the teacher quality or the turnover, all of that. And teachers, you do that too. Tell how it affects you personally, because those are the stories they need to hear. We don't need to hire some guy to go and tell these stories for us, or I guess maybe is there wheelings and dealings they can do?
There are some issues that the thing they can provide is that, just like anyone else, they can write legislation. Right? Somebody has to do that. So I think sometimes they do that. But the kinds of things that he was talking about, which were all very hopeful, was the additional funding for special ed.
Yes.
There was a funding increase on the base fund, indexing your base funding.
The index inventory, something like that.
So
Yes.
the index means that higher, more the communities that are higher cost of living would get more money in their base funding.
Yeah.
Then there's also the bill to have all of this as sort of the full and fair funding one, to have our California's payments, California's funding be in the top 10. Used to be number 1, but at least be in the top 10 as opposed to the bottom 10, which is where it is now. Yeah. Right?
And we could have field trips, maybe government classes could go up there and talk or visit the offices here, and
And you can use technology. We can Skype in to talk to people.
So there's lots of ways that we call to action and get the young students involved in this because it affects them. They're in the schools every day and they see the materials and they know about the teacher turnover and it's affecting them every day.
They can share that,
voice,
right? But you don't necessarily have to pay the consultants to do that,
right?
Because that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
Right. That and it's fine if you have lots of money, but that certainly isn't our situation. And the other part that I thought Trustee Phillips mentioned is we pay consultants. CSBA pays people.
That's right. That's their job.
That's their job. They're supposed to be doing it for CSBA, so they're supposed to be at the table talking about us.
Yeah.
Right. They don't need to have us particularly, but us as a group representing urban districts, and that's what somebody is doing that. Whether it's Mr. Gordon's lobbyist firm or another one.
Yep. Absolutely. Very good. What else you got?
What have you got?
Shall I go ahead and talk about Manzanita?
Oh, please, yes.
Okay. So I went and visited Manzanita, which is a charter school in our district. It's been there for quite a while. Quite a while, 20 years or something like that. So
run by parents.
Parents, yeah. So here are reasons that I think this is a great school. It's small, like 150 kids, and guess what? They don't want to grow. They get invited to all of those, grow your charter school, and they don't go. No, thank you. They don't belong to CSEA.
No.
CCSA.
Right, CSBA is different.
Oh, I'm CSEA. CCSA,
which is the
California Charter School Association. They don't belong to that because they don't need it. They take all students. All students. They don't reject students. They prefer not to take TFAs. They want teachers who are dedicated to teaching, who have it as a calling. And so they really, TFAs, not so much. And they are doing some very unique things in the arts and also in technology. They also collaborate with Dijon and Helms. They've collaborated with writing grants for certain programs. And then, like you said, their board is elected by the parents. It's a parent board elected by parents. So this is truly a public charter school.
Right, as opposed to picked by billionaires.
Yeah. So this is a great little gem, another one of those little hidden gems.
Right, and this is what the charter school vision for California originally was. That's what people bought into.
Yep.
Right? It was supposed to be parent-driven, teacher-driven.
Yeah.
And Manzanita is the perfect example
Yes.
of that. So I'm glad you got to go.
Yes,
right, and it just shows we understand that charter schools come in different forms. It's just that the corporate billionaire-sponsored form
Turned it into franchises.
and it turned it into real estate development.
real estate. Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's the other part of that. But happily, the real estate that was purchased in Pinole for making waves is now going to be for sale, so somebody can buy it and do a development.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
Well, we're getting down to the I need
Oh yes, we have some
to show this.
things to show.
Yeah, jeez.
So here we have. You're the proud mom. Why don't you talk
Proud
about
mom.
this book?
This is my son's. He illustrated these two stories, and they are in a book now that you can get on Amazon. Shameless plug.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug.
Shameless
here.
plug.
And it's called "Hey, It Could Happen."
The fact that it's here on our channel shows that it could
It
happen.
could happen. I'm very proud.
Thank
It's
you.
great. Yeah, you did a good job. And I think you have a little joke for us also.
Yes, hello, disembodied voice again. Proud author of the book. So, why did the nose not want to go to school?
Why?
Because he did not want to get picked on.
Oh, and ending on that note, we will see you next week.
We will be here next
We
week
will be here next week for our final of the year.
for the year.
Right.
Yeah.
It's our last one before the holidays break.
Okay.
Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Oh, right. Like, share,